What was my conclusion after examining these teachings that we were taught in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob from the King James Version Bible? What were my determining factors? Well, stay tuned. You're about to find out. So strap in, put your helmet on. Let's go. Well, hello, Ex-Church community, and to all of you who took time out of your busy day to watch this video, thank you. I appreciate your curiosity, and I hope everybody is doing well. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Ray, the Ex-HOJ, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Glad to have you. Now, before we get started, I just want to thank all of you in the Ex-Church community, and I want to thank all the members of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob who continue to inbox me with their love and support. I appreciate that. Now, I also want to take this time to remind everyone why I started this channel. I started this channel to share my 65-year journey in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob with those viewers in the Ex-Church community. Now, I stated in my introduction video what my channel was for and who it was for. And I also wanted to make mention that when I started this channel, that also included my Facebook page. Now, as I stated in my introduction video, and I gave a word of caution to the members of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob, I said that this space is a space of free speech for the Ex-Church community. And as I said, you're welcome to watch, but some of your comments won't be appreciated over here. Now, I know I have a lot of Supreme Council of the House of Jacob members on my page, and you're welcome to stay. However, I'm not going to allow anyone to come into my space and commandeer my comment section. I'm not going to allow people to come on there and give a dissertation. Now, those of you who are on my Facebook page, now y'all have heard me say plenty of times that I'm not going to have a whole conversation in the comment section. I'm not going to have a whole conversation in the inbox. I'm just not going to do it. Now, all I require of any of you that are on my Facebook page, whether you are in the Ex-Church community, whether you are a member of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob, whether you are a former member of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob, all I ask is that you be mindful of your comments and that you be respectful. Now, once again, all I'm doing is sharing my story. I'm just sharing my journey, my 65-year journey in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. Now, my journey won't look like your journey. Your journey won't look like my journey. Now, if you were sharing your story, what reason would I have to get upset about your story? What reason would I have to get upset about your experience? It was your experience, not mine. Now, since I started this channel, I've talked to quite a few people that are still in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. And I've also talked to quite a few former members of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. And some people who are still members of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob have shared some of their stories with me. And former members have shared some of their stories. And I'll tell you this much. Some of them have not had a pleasant experience in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. Some of them are bitter because of their experiences. Some of them hate the church because of their experiences. So if you're getting upset over what I'm saying in my videos, I wonder what you're going to do if and when they start their channels and start sharing their stories. Now, one of the pleasant surprises of starting this channel is that I'm starting to develop new friendships with people in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob that I'd never really had friendships with. Some of the people I've talked to in casual conversations, but I never had real in-depth conversations with them. I had a very pleasant conversation with one of the brothers in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob on Monday. And man, it was just a very pleasant conversation. I mean, even though we're on opposite ends of the spectrum as far as belief, we were able to discuss the church. We were able to discuss our views on religion, and we just had a good time. We were laughing and joking, and at the end of the conversation, we expressed our joy in having the conversation and our love. So it was very pleasant. And I've said before that you could talk about religion without it becoming an argument, without it becoming without getting upset about it. So, and those are the type of conversations that I enjoy. But anyway, let's get on with the topic. Now, a lot of you have also asked me in the inbox, and some of you that I've talked to on the phone, you've asked me, why don't I refer back to some of the earlier texts, like the Textus Receptus, or the Codex Sinaiticus, or the Masoretic text, or some of these other earlier texts. Well, simply because that's not what the House of Jacob uses. The House of Jacob has never used any of those texts, and a lot of other churches have never used any of those texts. So those texts actually are just earlier versions of the Christian mythology. So I stick with the King James Bible simply because that is the book that the founder founded the church on. That's also the Bible that a lot of people use. So that's why I stick with that. So what was my conclusion after examining these teachings that we were taught in the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob from the King James Version Bible? Well, I concluded that these teachings were all based on belief, not fact. And what were my determining factors? Simply that the math didn't add up. The Supreme Council of the House of Jacob's teachings didn't line up with historical fact. So that, for me, helped me reach my conclusion that it was all based on belief, not fact. Now, when I stopped preaching in 2008, that was when I started really examining the teachings of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. And having the knowledge of the history of the King James Bible, it just made it easier for me to examine the teachings of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. As I wrap this video up, I want to say to the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob members who found my last video eye-opening, if you want more information, just do this simple Google search. Ask Google, who was the King James Bible published for? You could also ask, was the King James Bible published for the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob? Now, an AI overview will come up, but a lot of the factual information is included in this AI overview. Another thing you might want to look up, and it was something that I didn't mention in the last video. I didn't mention to you that the King James Bible is an Anglican Bible. Now, if you look up, is the King James Bible Anglican? You will get all the factual information in the AI overview. And one interesting thing about the King James Bible being Anglican is that it was actually published for the members of the Church of England and for their Anglican beliefs. It wasn't meant for Baptist belief. It wasn't intended for Holiness Pentecostal beliefs. It was intended for the belief system of the Anglican Church, which is very interesting, because if you look at the Anglican Church, if you look at the Church of England and compare them to the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob, or actually any other church that used the King James Bible, just pull up one of the Church of England's services and you'll see how far away from Anglicanism the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob is. Their order of services, their interpretation of the King James Bible, and any of their Anglican traditions are quite different from those who use the King James Version Bible. But once again, the King James Bible was made for the Church of England, which is an Anglican church, and it was made for their Anglican beliefs. So, after you look those things up, ask yourself the question that I asked as I was examining the teachings of the Supreme Council of the House of Jacob. Are these teachings fact, or are they belief? You decide. So with that, I'm going to end this video. So until next time, y'all take care.